Welcome, everybody, back inside the By Design Advisors studio for another episode of The Way to Value. Here on the hot seat today, I have my partner and good friend, Marty Osborn. Marty, how are you today?
I'm doing great, Got my name right. I'm feeling good. It's maybe it's starting to cool off a little bit, so we're ready to roll.
And today, what are we going to talk about?
Yeah, I think that's kind of interesting is the subject that I think we really chose was buzzword marketing. And it's funny because I was talking to you the other day and you were talking about this company. I think it was a financial company. And you read me like their statement or their mission statement. And I just looked at it and said, are you kidding me? I don't know if you want to read it.
And I may crash out during this episode because buzzword, corporate jargon, word vomit makes my skin crawl. So if I crash out, I apologize already. But yeah, it was kind of simple. And when you first look at it, you kind of think, well, yeah, it makes sense that would be theirs. But it's building relationships, devising strategies, taking the long view. And I was thinking about it, I'm like, okay, wouldn't every financial services company in the world build a relationship, devise a strategy, and take a long-term?
Yeah, and I mean, I think you've always said it is, that's like just the price of entry. Like if
permission to play is what I call it. That's just permission to play. I'm not going to give you all my money if you're not going to build a relationship with me, if you're not going to devise a strategy, and you're not taking the long view.
Because if you're not, what are you doing?
Yeah, what are you doing? That means it's transactional. You're thinking short term, and there's no strategy. You're just winging it.
Yeah, and so I think what I think struck us for companies and organizations is to take time to actually read what you wrote. Because I think sometimes we sit down and, even everybody's going to ChatGPT and they're writing all these flowery words. And you're like, wow, this sounds really good. But if you break it down, it's really just a bunch of buzzword garbage that doesn't actually explain who you are.
I'm going to be looking at my phone a little bit during because I have a bunch of notes on these. Let me just walk you through some that I found on a quick Google search of some companies I know and don't know. Names, I'm not going to use the company names. We're going to protect the innocent. But here's some that I think are just not very good. Every day we embrace change and create value for our stakeholders.
Okay.
Like, what does that mean? And your value stakeholders, so you don't care about your people, your clients, your customers. What do you do? Together makes progress.
Okay.
And here we go. This is one of my favorites. Deep knowledge and in-demand skills to help organizations overcome their most complex challenges, including yours. Getting not as bad, but then how about this one? Proven expertise, bold insights, and tech that moves business forward. We help you drive your company to the leading edge.
Yeah. I mean, like, who's not going to say they have bold insights or they have deep knowledge? Like, again, these are just permission to play. Like, these are basic stuff, and they're not going to move anybody to actually want to do business with you, to find out more. Yet we see it each and every day.
When I see something like bold insights, it takes me back to one of my favorite movies, A Few Good Men, where Demi Moore in the courtroom says, I object, overruled, but I strongly object. I have insights, overruled, but my insights are bold. It's like, okay.
Yeah. Like, who cares? And so I think when we start to look at who we are as an organization, we truly have to say something different. And I think one of the best examples was Apple. And I don't know if you remember back, they did their Think Differently campaign. I mean, Windows was big out there. Apple was trying to make a name. And what they had to appeal was to think differently. And it's interesting, as I pulled up their stuff, and listen to this. I mean, I think this is great. Like, here's what the campaign that they said Think Differently included. Here's to the crazy ones, the misfits, the rebels, the troublemakers, and round pegs in square holes. Like, that is so specific, that speaks to a set of people that are like, yeah, that's me. Like, I want to be different. I feel like I'm the misfit. The ones who see things differently, they're not fond of rules, and they have no respect for the status quo. Like, that's me, right? I think about, I don't want to follow the rules. I'm kind of felt like a misfit. I want to do things differently. Apple could be for me. And then they go on about the only thing you can't do is ignore them because they change things. They invent, they imagine, they heal, They explore, they create, they inspire, they push the human race. And so all of a sudden, what they did is not only identified a group that feels misaligned or misfits, but now they showed their value. They showed where they're going to do. And then they end, the people who are crazy enough to believe they can change the world are the ones who actually do it. And you think about this mission, this campaign of what Apple was, how many people signed up that said, that's me. I want to change the world. Like, I want to inspire. I want to imagine. I want to explore and create. And so this thing is, I think, really a recipe for where companies need to go.
And to me, that's great. Notice what they don't mention. How much memory their computers have, how many hertz or RAM or pixels.
We are the fastest computer known to man.
And to me, that's where we're going to get in, and you're going to hear me say a lot today, permission to play versus core values. Having enough memory, having enough speed, having the processor chip, having all that, that is a permission to play for anyone to even consider buying an Apple product. Their core values are the rebels, the outsiders, the people that want to make change, right? And then guess what else you can do with something like that? You can hire to that. You can promote with that. You can, a new hire can come in and say, I get this company. It's simple. It's easy to remember. So I'm kind of rambling a little bit, but if you're a company, look at 4 things. Is it purpose driven? Like, right? Does it tell you your purpose? To Apple's, I feel like it did. Right? Is it specific and emotional? Yes.
Very specific.
Are you a rebel? Are you an outsider? Are you a change initiator? Is it rooted in real impact? I think it is.
Yeah, we want to change the world. Like the people who are going to change the world.
And is it clear enough for a new hire to believe it and repeat it? Maybe not word for word, but they're going to get the gist of it.
Yeah, I think you can. And I think that really became sort of their calling card. And what we see in companies, again, over and over again, is they want to say our culture is. Like, you can't describe your culture. Our mission or our, like somebody said at some point in time, I don't really care what your mission is. I care about my mission. So don't tell me what your mission is. Explain who you are. And then I decide if I want to be on that mission. Yeah. And so I think that one starts to set where Apple did it so much differently and where they keep going. I mean, Nike's another one. I mean, it's a classic. And it's funny about the battle of not do it. It was just do it, right? Something simple. And when Nike went out, they wanted those people that just do it. Like, I don't want excuses. I don't want to know what you're doing. The people that identified with Nike, the runners, right? The athletes, everything else. At the end of the day, it's just do it. Like, don't tell me why you're going to do it. It's not our culture. It's not our design. It's not we're the best or whatever. Just people who like Nike just went out and you run, you exercise, you train, just do it. And so to me, I love how even those iconic brands, when you piece them back, it really is grounded in simplicity.
Yeah. And notice what's not in just do it. There's not a corporate buzzword there. Like, if you're playing buzzword bingo, which is one of my favorite games to play on big meetings, you're not going to cross off anything on your board with that slogan.
No.
What's interesting is I'm drinking a Summer Moon coffee, which I'm not a big iced coffee fan, but I love this. So before we started recording, we're like, well, let's see what Summer Moon says. And I want to read it because it's pretty good, right? Their goal is to create a distinctive, out-of-this-world experience that people drive across town for. Guess what I just did before coming here?
Drove past 4 coffee shops.
Drove past 4 coffee shops across town just to get my little iced quarter moon latte thingy. And I'm like, yes, that's simple. It's specific. It's purpose driven. Like, it's rooted in real impact. Like, you will drive across town for this.
Well, think about this. When I hear you say it, my first thing is, if somebody's going to make that claim, I'm going to go drive and try it and to see. And quite frankly, if you've ever been to Summer Moon, they have what's called, moon milk.
Moon milk.
I mean, I think it's like crack for milk or crack for coffee. Like, I don't know what they do with that, but it is the best thing I've ever tasted. It really does create a different experience that even in the mornings, I'll walk 2 miles to that place to get one.
Yeah. And who knows, moon milk might just be regular Happy Cow milk, but
now there's something else in it. Yeah.
And we have, so yeah, I think, we're big Patrick Lencioni fans around here. And he has, I think, a very important question that companies need to ask themselves, and it's an exercise we went through when we started By Design Advisors. Why do you exist beyond profits?
So I have a great example. Why do we exist? We exist to be the best company in the world.
Awesome.
Like, really?
This is where I crash out.
Yeah. Like that literally we say we want to be the best financial planner. We want to be the best like
who doesn't?
Who doesn't? Like I would be shocked. And to me the joke would be to do the reverse. You know, there used to be that running joke about, you know, say the opposite thing. I don't know if you remember GE. GE was trying to grow its network. It was trying to grow its software business. They were really getting into software. And I don't know if you remember the commercial, and there was a guy at the door and somebody knocked and said, "Hey, Bill, what have you been up to?" And he said, "Well, I just got a software job at GE." And the person goes, No, it's great. Like they were trying to poke fun at themselves. Unfortunately, that's what the whole world said. Why would you take a software job at GE? Like they tried to poke fun at themselves, and they really did a bad job because it was so bad of what people are thinking. It was so generic. They should have done something catchier like what Apple did, but to just sort of state the obvious, but not say what's different, kind of, I think that ad campaign fell flat.
We want to be the most average consulting company in the United States, right? Like, who's going to say that? Again, to me, that goes back to permission to play. If you don't have those aspirations to be the best, why would a client hire you in anything? But yeah, I think most people, they fall into one of two traps when they try to answer this question, because you think it'd be an easy question to answer. Why do we exist? You know, again, make money is obvious, but they either are way too vague to be the best company ever, or they're too polished, which again, that's when you get into, I think, the buzzword word vomit, where you just string together a bunch of buzzwords and you're trying to like
be cool. You're trying to act like you're cool. I mean, I have another example. I thought this one was the best word salad buzzword bingo, but to synergize scalable solutions while optimizing innovation and delivering cutting-edge value to all stakeholders.
I love the alliteration to begin with, but I don't understand any. I don't even understand what that means.
Like, it may sound impressive, but it means nothing. And so all of a sudden, what we're trying to do is appear smart. And you're not. You really come off. And it's funny, is like I said, people sit in rooms and they put these on their websites, they develop, and they hire marketing people. Almost like, have you really read it? And so to me, that's where we need to start to become human and back it off. And I think when we did By Design, we thought about this a lot. And I mean, I think you think about like, what is our mission?
Yeah, if you ask why do we exist, I think we exist to help business owners grow intentionally and exit with confidence.
I mean, simply like our buzzword is intentional. Like we want to help companies grow intentionally. Like everything they do, we believe if you do it with intentionality, everything's structured that. And then if you want to exit the business, that you do it confidently, that you believe you're doing not only the right thing, you're getting the right deal, and that things are going to go well. Whereas so many people are not confident in their exit. They're not sure if they make the right decision. And I think one of the statistics, right, was 76% of people that sell their business regret it. Yep. It's because they didn't plan for it. So to us, that was, if you work with By Design, you know you're going to get those two things.
Yeah. And our website, if you go to our website, there's not a whole lot of buzzwords up there because we're so anti-buzzword. But here's another example from my past. Everywhere I've worked, there's always something about people being our greatest asset, you know, somewhere, either in the handbook, on the wall, on the mission, value, whatever. And I could say I've maybe worked for one company that actually put their money where their mouth was. And one just example off the top of my head, I was working for a large manufacturing company. We were running 7 days a week, 24 hours a day for a year and a half or so. Business was good. But it was coming up on Christmas time, and we wanted to give our employees a break. So the plant manager called an all-employee meeting, basically said, this was probably 2 weeks maybe before Christmas, and said, hey, I'm committing to you guys right now. We're shutting down, I forget the exact dates, maybe noon on Christmas Eve, and we're not opening back up until first shift the day after Christmas. Basically a big eruption. People wanted to get out. The week of Christmas, let's say Christmas was a Wednesday, Thursday, something. One of our big customers dropped an emergency order in. Guess what happened?
Christmas was canceled.
Christmas was canceled. And it started off, well, we'll just take volunteers, so that way we don't force anybody, but you didn't get enough to do it. You couldn't run any lines. So we ended up working both days and brought in lunch to make up for it. But to me, you could say people are your greatest asset. You can say we're a family. But no, it's widgets out the back door. It's whatever you said.
Like, why don't they just put on the wall when you come to work here? We put profits over people. Just say what you're doing, because that action is really who you are, and that's, to me, the worst thing we do as organizations or as leaders is we say one thing and we do another. And we had another experience, like in the consulting world. And again, I think you have one of the greatest lines too. Is if you want to see what you value, watch what you measure. And so in the consulting world, we talk about our assets, our knowledge, our people. We talk about all these flowery things, and there's only one way you get promoted.
Billable hours.
Billable hours.
Yep.
So why don't you just say it is, we value billable hours. You want to get ahead in this world, you're the top billers. Just say it, but you can't, right? Because nobody wants that. Nobody wants to say it, but that's how they act. And so when you get this mismatch in what you say your mission is, we're all for people, we're all for culture, yet the only way you get promoted, the only way you advance is billable hours, that's when people feel frustrated. It's why they leave. It's why you never ultimately have the right culture.
Yeah. I always like to say you value what you reward. So again, when we go into clients, we'll ask them, what's your promotion criteria? And it's just funny to see what they say. Oh, you got to have billable hours. You got to have this and that. Then you go and you look at their website on what their core values are. Billable hours is never there.
Never.
And to me, your core values should be what inspires and guides everyone's behaviors, everyone's decision making. So if you're rewarding just billable hours, guess what every decision is going to be based on?
Yeah.
Billable hours. Oh, hey, Dale, can you help this new hire? Nope, don't have time. I got to do billable hours, right? Mm-hmm. Hey, Dale, can you, I don't know, go volunteer at this event? And nope, it's not billable hours. I'm not going to do it, right? And you're forcing me to do that because you've already said, this is the only way you're getting promoted.
I mean, we believe in me over we. Because you can do all the we things, not going to get you promoted. You do the me things, you are. But people can't be honest.
Yep.
We can't be truthful. And that's where I think leadership falls down and companies fall down, and why they never create the company that they really want to build or who they want to be. And again, we get caught up in that system. And if you really want to be different, then sit down and really look at, why do we hire? I mean, why do we promote? Why we do that? And then look at what we're going to put on the wall, because those things are what's important.
Yeah, and we've been getting a lot of calls lately, which I love, of clients wanting us to come in and kind of shoot holes in their mission, vision, values, core values. And I love it because that tells me that those clients really care. And they really want to do right, and they really want to get rid of the buzzwordy stuff and get real. And so, yeah, I love doing this stuff. And it's funny. I usually start with, why do you guys exist beyond profits? And it also shows you whether the company's aligned, because you'll get 50 different things that people throw out there. And you're like, okay.
What makes you unique? Yeah. Why do you have a better culture? Why? And when we start to peel that back, we actually had an interesting session with a set of lawyers. And it was interesting because what we fail to realize is what got us here as a lawyer, right? What gets us here is billable work, getting things done, and so forth. So heads down, really tied to the work. But if you really want to get promoted and become a partner, what's the key to becoming a partner?
Driving revenue.
Driving revenue, which in some cases is a different skill set. It's, as we've talked about, it's galvanizing, it's being an extrovert, and those kind of things. Yet our whole life is we're working towards something, and we realize we're not being coached in that area. What we're being coached is build, do what you should, which is important. But are we building those skills that actually allow them to be successful in the future?
Yeah, and I think the pattern I've observed over the years is entry-level positions, most folks hire T's, or T's succeed, right? Because you just need
What did
somebody.
we say? I think it was it ETs
I
are
think ET's
like
the
over
most common.
50% of the most
Because
common.
they come in, they get GSD, right? They get stuff done. But yeah, what makes them successful in that role is not necessarily going to make them successful once they're a VP of something or a partner in something, because the T's, you got to kind of get away from your T and get more into D and G and things like that. So it is an interesting shift. And what was interesting about that meeting is a bunch of people came up to us afterwards and was like, well, crap, how am I going to make partner,
Yeah.
right? And we're like, well, you're either going to have to get comfortable being uncomfortable and bumping up your G when you need to, or just say you don't want to be partner. It's fine, right? Like everyone thinks they have to get to the top of the ladder. You don't have to. If you're somewhere you're enjoying, you're in your genius, you're loving it, you're making the money you need to make, it's fine to stay there.
Yeah. And that's everything. It's so funny is probably when we sit down and write these mission statements or who's doing it, what would be interesting is to look at their personality profiles. So our like our W's and I's, they're probably more out there, higher thinking, glorious stuff, whereas probably our T's are more very succinct. You know, they want clarity, and so maybe they're trying to spell things out. So I do think sometimes we have to look at who we are, again, based on our personality, and understand either A, we got to get out of that zone or bring other people in that complement us, or we have to realize what we're actually doing.
And that's why I think having a third-party facilitator, whether it's us or somebody else, really helps that group out, because we can call BS, right? Like we can say, guys, this is just buzzword either. This isn't really what you want. And we can ask those questions of, all right, what's a typical before you get involved and after? Like, what transformation do you do for customers, right? You can why do you exist? Who would miss you if you're gone? You can ask them some of these questions that kind of gets them out of the buzzwordy, just, hey, everybody throw out words that you think sound cool, and really gets down to what you're doing, what's the transformation you're doing, and
sometimes just ask your customers why they do business with you, you know, and really probe. And I think they'll start to tell you. Now, I think when we kind of formed By Design, one of my favorite sessions is when you and I and Tom sat down to come up with not only our mission, but also our vision. Because vision's interesting too, because it can either be internally focused or externally. So sometimes we read people's visions and it's externally focused, or we might read it and it's very internally focused. And that's okay. Sometimes just recognize, but to me, we had to kind of eat our own dog food. We had to do what we preach. So we had to come up with our own vision, and we had a bunch of them, and yet they started contradicting each other. And I think we settled on 3 that I think when people hear these, they now understand where we're coming from. And I don't know if you want to share these or...
Yes. So our main 3 core values is intentionality over chance, which I think if you listen to these podcasts,
we probably beat the crap out of that. Like
that one,
you know,
well.
like so if we actually come into it and we don't do that, if we're not intentional in anything we do, then we violated number 1.
Simplicity over complexity. We're back of the napkins kind of people. Where I get made fun of all the time because I go to client meetings and it's me and my handy dandy flip chart, right? And if we can't sketch it on a flip chart, and it's just kind of too complex and it's not going to get done, and we kind of avoid it.
Yeah, so if you want a complex, multi-page report, like, we're not your guys.
No.
Like, we're not. Because to us, and I've always believed, like, how do we keep things simple? Because what was the saying? It's easy to make things hard. It's hard to make things simple. And so for us, simplicity is, if we can't explain like your personality, the DISC profile, the working genius, or like our 90-day executions, 3 rocks, and we can explain working, broken, missing on the back of a piece of napkin. And if we can't do that, and it takes slide decks and all that, then we're not hitting the mark.
And the last one is what's right over who's right.
And this is, I know this one's in your heart.
Yeah, I'm a big, it shouldn't matter who's right. Again, it goes back to the we culture. I'm an E, genius, enablement, team success, build teams. It doesn't matter who's right. What is the right thing to do for that company, for that organization, that client, that employee? You know, interesting situation. I'm not going to get into the details. We know of an employee that just had a falling out with the company and some things went a little sideways, and the company was well within their right to kind of do some of the things they did. But just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Mm-hmm.
And that to me goes back to what's right over who's right.
Right.
Like what is the right thing to do was probably to end it on a little better terms. What's right is, well, I have this document. And I know another less example was your son's wedding and a dress you had. And, you signed,
oh, my God. No, it was my wife's. Yeah, it was my wife's dress. And she got it, and it was not the same color. And all they kept repeating is, you have a contract, but it's not the same color. It's a different shade. I told you I can't. My wife said, I can't wear blue. I want it to be green, like green. And they argued, and all they kept saying was, this is the contract. Like, they just had to be right. And so I'm finally going to go, I'm going to talk to the owner. I figure she'll have a sympathetic from the customer standpoint. First thing she said, well, you have a contract. And I knew exactly what I was dealing with. Like, that should be their mission statement is, we don't put customers first. We put the contract first. You signed a contract. And it was like, ultimately, again, is my wife was not happy. They weren't going to send it. And it was the easy fix was to say, look, it's not right. We have to send it back. It might cost a little bit of money. Mm-hmm. We would have gladly paid. But it was, they dug their heels in. And the more they dug their heels in being right, the more I would never do business with these people. I will talk badly about these people because that's not how you treat. But again, in probably their mission statement is, oh, the customers come first and all that. And it's like, no, they don't.
And I'm kind of proud of the fact that at BDA, we really don't even have contracts. That could be bad. It could be good. I mean, we obviously do our SOWs and have an agreement on what we're trying to accomplish. But you and I are kind of on the same page that if you're in a client meeting and you're referring back to, well, we have this contract, it's already over.
It's already over.
And again,
we're arguing about things that just lawyers feel like they're all covering their ass. And quite frankly is, if you're happy with the work we do, you'll buy more. If you're unhappy, then we either remedy it or we move on. Like we don't really care. Like it's not that important because it's not about who's right. It's about what's right. And if we're not meeting your needs, that becomes so important. I want to dwell on this one a little bit more because I think what happens when we're creating mission statements, what really is coming across is our ego. And our ego is, I'm all knowing, I'm the one in charge, the owner of the company, and ego takes over as I'm right. And so when you said sometimes we come in and we challenge people, like we get that call that says, hey, I want you to challenge me. I hate to say it, but we don't get a lot of those because people's egos are very frail to be told there might be another way. Are you open to it? Because people are so fixated on being right as opposed to what's right. Tell me, read me this. Let's go over this policy. Let's challenge what gets done. And if you're open to that, that's where great things are. And so to us, when we go into a relationship, why this one's so important is we want to understand as an individual, if you believe in what's right, not who's right, then we're going to have a meaningful conversation. But if you struggle with that one, then probably we're not the right company for you.
Yeah, we definitely look for clients that are looking for impact over ego. We're not going to come in and say, oh, everything's great. I mean, we might. Everything might be great. We'll tell you, and we'll move on our way. But again, I think people need to focus more on impacts than ego.
Yep. And so I think that's how we've put these together. I think as we read them, and, it's one of our fun things to do is we just like to go to websites. We love to go and watch people's actions. And it's unfortunate and it's sad that our actions and how we treat our employees and our teammates just don't reflect what we say we want. And so to me, I think we need to do audits of how we promote, what our customers are saying, and then go back and see if what we do matches.
Yeah, I challenge everybody out there, go to your website if you have one, draw 2 columns on a sheet of paper, flip chart, highly recommend a flip chart, permission to play column, core value column, and just list them. Again, permission to play is something everyone will probably claim. If you're
hardworking, we
best
show
company,
up.
we care about our people.
We care about our people.
Collaboration.
We're
right?
collaborators.
To me, those are all permission. Your core values should be something that's deeply embedded, uniquely yours, and drives decisions and guides behavior. And if you really are honest and think, I bet you most of you are going to fall in the permission to play category. And the way I look at it is say whatever business you're in, there's 3 of you sitting across the table from a client who's trying to make a decision. Is what you have on there uniquely yours, or can every other person at that table say the exact same thing? If they can all say, no, we have long-term strategies. No, we build relationships. It's a permission to play. Change it, get rid of it.
By the way, I like the way you said that. What strikes me as uniquely different, right? If you think about the original example of Apple, that was uniquely different,
yep.
Because they really appealed to people who wanted to be different, because that was Apple, right? They were changing the user interface. They were, it didn't follow the Windows model. It didn't follow IBM. It was different. And once we did it, once they created that, now they've created this massive following. I mean, Starbucks. I mean, if you really think about it, in the early days of Starbucks, one of their things is they created this language, right? So people would go into Starbucks and they would have this own unique language for ordering coffee. Me, I'm not I love Starbucks. They were a client of ours. I go in and say I would like a medium black coffee, and I'm
gosh.
like, they look at me like, who is this guy? I like the coffee, but I never was that person. So I probably never felt attached, because I didn't go in and say, I want a venti mocha latte, 2 pumps, 1 doppio. I don't even know what I'm saying right now. And Starbucks people are probably cringing at me, but they did create that. They created a unique following, and I'll watch people go to Starbucks, go out of their way every morning, like they've created that following. And that's where I think as companies, we got to figure out who our users are, who our customers are, and start talking about them more than talking about what we want.
Yep. Yeah, it's I think everyone tries to be everything to all people, and that's where you kind of can get into buzzwordy corporate world.
By the way, I'm going to get this was interesting. I saw something this morning from Warren Buffett, and he was talking about Roger Maris, who is one of the greatest hitters, wrote a book on hitting. And what he did is he took the strike zone and he broke it into 77 zones. And he mapped out, like in the middle, like 9 areas that if he swings at pitches in this area, he bats 450. If he swings at one down lower, he bats 230. And so he actually mapped out. Now, in baseball, it's 0-2 count. You got to swing at whatever, which is what keeps averages down. But if we think about whether it's investments or companies, if we only swing at what's in our zone, like that's when we're going to be successful. When we define who we are, like that's when we knock it out of the park, because it's true to us, not being all things to all people. And sometimes you got to swing at stuff, but you want to bat 450, you swing at these 9 pitches in this zone. I thought that was a really interesting analogy as how we define who we are. And I think sometimes people get afraid of defining it because then they can't swing at everything.
Yep. Well, good. Well, yeah, that's kind of our crash course on core values, mission, vision, values.
Buzzwording, marketing.
So again, we'd be happy to talk with anyone out there that's looking at revamping theirs or want us to just take a look. Feel free to send us a website or send us whatever in the comments.
All right, before we end, I got to say one last thing. And this is, I got to say, one last bugaboo I have that I hope as a buzzword people never use is when we finish early.
Oh.
We finish a meeting early.
Crash out alert.
Dale's going, is we have finished this podcast early. We're going to give you 5 minutes of your life back.
I can't stand that.
Please, like you wasted that much time. Or it just is what it is. Do not say you're giving me back time in my life. Please do not. Yeah. And if anybody does that, please don't ever talk to me again. But I just stop it. Like, we're not giving people time in their life back.
You're just not wasting as much as you planned. That's really what it is.
So that's my last buzzword.
Say it that way. Say, I am no longer going to waste any more of your time today. Have a good day. Yeah, you're not the arbiter of giving me back time. See, now I can start a 30-minute rant on this. But thanks, Marty. Like again, if anybody's out there wants us to look at yours, talk to you about
Send
it,
us
just
a copy
give us a
of
call,
it.
send us
Yeah.
a copy. Permission to be honest, and we'll shoot you our thoughts and what we think. Again, most are decent. I don't want to present that everyone's is terrible. I think most are decent, but like everything, room for improvement. So,
Yeah.
Marty, thanks for your thoughts on this one, and thanks for everybody for tuning in.